I can think of no better place to sit down with both of you than a tobacco field. When you look out over all this, which is beautiful, what do you see?
I'm really happy because my family is a tobacco family. And that means that we continue the tradition of the family. Mm-hmm. And you know, every year there are problems, weather change, but with effort and passion, we always have good tobacco for make happy millions of people worldwide.
Well, a lot of people say that this is pretty much the epicenter of tobacco. It's why it's called tobacco country, you know. So a lot of people know that, and it revolves around you and your family and your history here, but a lot of people don't know your family history. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, my father and three brothers worked very young. When they was very young, they worked in tobacco in Amsterdam. In company that import raw material, sell raw material. But they decided to come to America. My father and the oldest brother come to Dominican Republic to work in tobacco. The other two brothers go to Brazil to work to tobacco. And
I see a trend here.
my cousin, very young, they go to the warehouse to work in tobacco. They don't study. At 70 years, 80 years, work in tobacco. And later, my cousin was independent to his fathers and create another company to produce tobacco and export tobacco. I say my family is a not too much creative family. Everybody works in tobacco. Now I have 6 sons, 2 daughters and 4 sons, and 5 of them work in tobacco.
But your dad didn't want you to work in tobacco, right?
Yes, my father advised him, I don't like that you work in tobacco.
Why?
He said, what? He said, wait, there are too many companies in tobacco in the family, and they have the same market. They are competing. He said, and that creates problem for the family. I prefer that you don't work in tobacco.
Was there something he wanted you to do? He said, don't work in tobacco, but he didn't care anything else?
Yes, study, go to the university, and not work in tobacco.
Okay.
When my father died very young, at 48 years, I have only 70 years. Mm-hmm. And I decided to go to Mexico to study industrial engineer. 5 years in Mexico, finally graduate, and come back to Dominican Republic. And my idea is no work in tobacco. And no work in Santiago. Santiago is too small. Monterrey is 10 times bigger than Santiago.
But you're back from Mexico, you're an engineer. Yeah. I'm not going to work in tobacco. Then what happened?
It's still too small.
Well, the first option that I decided, my first option, was the government, they give him the la beca.
Yeah, the government that gave him the
for study.
The scholarship.
Okay.
They call it. I go to and talk with the general manager, and he said immediately, I have a perfect position for you. I need you. He said, come next week. I am happy because was in the area that was my passion at that time. It's an economy, industrial economy.
Okay.
For create project, to evaluate project, and like that. I like that. But 2 days later, receive a communication that no come. You don't have the position. Later I asked, why? What happened? He said, no, the government gives that position for politics. It was my first election in Dominican Republic. In my country, politics is more important than an industrial engineer of Monterrey.
More important than the
But I have another option. A cousin of my mother, like a brother, for me was like an uncle. They create the first financial company for financial project.
Okay.
I have an interview with him, and he told me, say, you are perfect for the position, but I can give it the employer. He said, why? He said, because if you're not growing too fast and you like it, I have problem with your mother. It was my second election. They say, in your company, no employer family, except your son, because you can control your son. And you don't create problem with the family with your son. But he told me, no worry, I look an employer for you. And later, I received the invitation for the owner, the president of the company. They produce Frigidaire, nevera. And that time was a very important company. I go, I receive it, talk a little, and he said, come to the factory. I like it, you look the factory. Spend 1 hour to all the factory. Mm-hmm. When I come back to the office, he said, what do you think? He said, give me paper and pen, and I create
a flow chart.
A card for the flow of all the factory.
You changed everything. You just wrote it all down.
Every department, all the connections. When he looked at and say, wow, come to work tomorrow. Tomorrow, I need you. And that time, the people, they don't know what is a industrial engineer. Mm-hmm. And he was a surprise. Then in 1 hour, I know everything in his factory. I come back and next day, but I need to come back to my home. And I have an interview saying, okay, I come but next week, but what is my condition? My salary. Mm-hmm. I live in Santiago, I need to move to Santo Domingo. And he said, oh, no, and let me think about, because I don't have, but come back Monday. We talk about that. When I come back to my house with my mother, she said me, the president of Compañía Anónima Tabacalera, the biggest company, a very good friend of your father, he told me that he like to receive you next Monday at 8 o'clock in the morning. I can't. No, you need to go because he's a very good friend of your father. Caunao Almonte is a executive to Ford.
Strong.
Strong. A very good dress, always. I go with my tie, my jacket, and immediately he said, I like to inform you that you was in the last meeting of Friday, you are employer of this company, of my company. He said, what? He said, and that is your condition or your salary. He said, and that's okay because I talked with your uncle, and he said, hey, it's okay.
So So everybody decided about it but you.
They forced him into the tobacco
For
industry.
me, imagine a young man of 22 years. He said, and now what happens? He said, now take out your tie and your jacket and go to the factory.
Just like that.
Yeah, like that. I don't have description of my position.
Right.
I don't have. Only he said, you are engineer. Well, that was later. I immediately, I don't know what's in my position, but I decided to use my time to analyze all the factory, step by step. The application, all my knowledge about industrial engineering.
So you used so it helped that you had that engineering degree because
It's my project. They don't say make that. And in 3 months, I make all the investigation, all the. But 3 months later, I arrived to the company. There are economic problems of the company. Okay. Increase the cost, and the president invite all the manager, all the director, financial to office. Say, that is not our situation. I ask one by one, why you say to that? Why you make for resolve the problem? Nobody have an answer. Nobody. And I'm a very young guy in the back. He looked at me and say, Ian, you think you are here for your beautiful face? Why you let
You pretty boy.
Why you can't say for that? He say, give me 5 minutes, I have a project. Come back to the office with my project. They reduce more than 30% the employees, reduce the more efficient. When
Wow.
he looked at that and say, wow, that's a you need to make, we need to make. Finally, 3 months later, I was director with good salary, a good position in the
You're
company. And that was my third lesson. First, the people that take decision, they have success. They have success. The other guy, he can give me my salary, nothing. Wait, I need more time.
Right.
And this guy all are ready decision. And that was a lesson for my life. When I look for employer, and in the first interview, I know that is the perfect guy for my company. Mm-hmm. Immediately, I contract that guy. Mm-hmm. Because success is take decision. And that was my first history. I have many experience in the company. Make cigarettes. Have the opportunity to talk with some expert, and because every expert in the world that come to the company to advise the company, they like only talk with me. They like only talk with me. Later, in 1978, my position was general manager of the company, with only 32 years. One of the biggest companies of the Dominican Republic. My first decision was create a factory for produce cigar, premium cigar, and create a company for that premium cigar. Because that company started in 1902 with a cigar factory. But later they decided it's not important for the company and eliminate the cigar. And that started my passion for cigars.
Okay.
With that company. That was in 79, more or less in 79. No. Yes, in 79.
Well, I have no doubt that you would have made very good refrigerators, but I'm very glad you chose tobacco, or they chose it for you. Let me ask Klaas a question real quick.
Yeah.
So his father did not want him to go into tobacco. Did you get the same message from him, or did he always want you in tobacco, or did he want you to do something else?
For me, I think it was a little different because my father and also my mother included me in all their activities. When we would receive visitors to the farm, I have a lot of memories coming very early on to the farm with visitors. I would be part of the tour. I would be part of being with the visitors, seeing the explanations that my father was giving to them. And then they would take me to the factory. My father would sometimes take me on the weekends to the factory, and he would send me to put cellophane on cigars. And he would pay me 100 pesos for working the day and downstairs putting cellophane. Later I found out that I really wasn't working, that I was putting cellophane on rejected cigars, but I was learning how to put cellophane on cigars, how to put bands on cigars, you know, showing me a little bit of work ethic. But I remember that when it came to the time to choose a college and start thinking about where I'm going to study, what I want to study, at the age of 15, I asked my father that I wanted to work in cigars. I wanted to work in tobacco. And his response was, "Are you sure?" It's like, yes, I am sure. I'm 15 years old. I'm 100% sure of what I want to do in life, you know.
Of course, at 15, everybody knows what they want to be.
And he tells me, he's like, okay, I'll ask you again later. So at the age of 16, very close to my birthday actually, I think it was a couple days later, I asked him again, he's like, I want to work in cigars again. And he's like, are you sure? It's like, yes, I want to work in cigars. I want to study business administration. And he says, okay, I'll ask you again later. And then at the age of 17, 1 year before going to college, he asked me again, and I say, again, I want to work in cigars and tobacco. And he says, okay. So he sat me down, and then he kind of wrote me a life plan of what I needed to do if I wanted to work in cigars.
So that's an engineer for a father that's going to have it all mapped out for you.
Yeah, he did a flow chart of my life. And
are you on track right now, or are you?
I've followed it pretty closely. There's been a couple deviations here and there, but a big one was study abroad. And he really wanted me to go study abroad. He studied abroad. He wanted that for all his kids. And when it came time to choose a university, I had the opposite. I wanted to work and study in Dominican Republic, so immediately after high school I could start working in the factory. And their response was no. They even told me at one moment that they would kick me out of the house if I didn't go to study outside. And so that basically forced me to go study abroad. I lived a year in France, learning French and getting to travel over Europe. And then I studied in Florida and did business administration and marketing. And the first thing I did was try to finish my degree as fast as possible. So I graduated early and come back to work in tobacco.
So, I mean, you grew up in it, obviously, and I mean, I could, you know, I guess I'd be curious, you know, is there even an earliest memory of tobacco, of it being a thing? Or, I mean, is it just, it's so much from the beginning for you? Do you have a memory like that?
I think there's one specific memory that is very clear. I still have this picture. It's in my room, not beside the bed, but in another area. And this picture is of me very young with a baseball cap. My dad very young with a baseball cap, I think Pro Cigar says, and he's leaning down and showing me a very small tobacco plant, and he's pointing to the top of the plant. And he's saying, this is where the next leaf is going to grow. And then after that, this location here is where the tobacco flower is going to come out. So I have this very specific picture and memory of leaning down and looking at this tobacco plant. And of course, I can talk about the first time I smoked cigars and everything.
No, please. Yeah, no. So was it with him or no?
The first time, the first memory of me tasting a cigar.
You're old enough to say, by the way, if it's a story he doesn't know. You're old enough now to.
Oh, he knows. I asked for permission.
You did? Okay.
There was business clients, friends of him at our house. We were having dinner, and they were all smoking cigars at the dinner table. I was a 4-year-old kid playing games in my room, and I came and I was just curious and asked him if I could taste it. And he says, yeah. And he gave me permission. The first time I tasted a cigar, I was 4 years old, and it was interesting to say the least. I did not know what I was doing, but at the age of 8 and 9, I would sit down with my dad and I would do seminars. He would be doing seminars for people.
Right.
And I would be sitting in the back, this little kid lighting up a cigar and going through the whole seminar, the famous tongue tasting that he does.
Right.
For a whole hour, just trying different tobaccos and everything.
So let me ask you, so you grow up knowing, I mean, he's already a legend at that point. I mean, as far as worldwide, your palate, the way you blend cigars, which we'll talk about, but did you find that helpful or was it intimidating? Do you feel like you have these big shoes to fill, or how are you gonna find your own way at the same time? I mean, especially when someone had a whole map out already done for you?
I think what's important to understand is also that my whole family works in cigars. And we all love it and we all support each other. So from that perspective, I didn't feel a lot of pressure because we're all in it together. And my brothers and my sisters and my uncles, my cousins that work in tobacco, they all support each other. And I didn't feel that big of a pressure. I did start seeing a little bit of pressure when I went to work abroad. I was representing and doing marketing for the brands that we used to work with. And I would go into a store, do an event at the age of 24 or 25, and a 50-year-old customer would tell me, he's like, you're gonna teach me something? Like,
right.
You're 24, you're 25, what are you gonna teach me? I've been smoking cigars longer than you've been alive.
Right.
You know, and I had that year or two that I had to prove myself that I wasn't just here working in cigars because I'm of pedigree or, you know, I'm the son of Henke Kelner.
Right.
I can do this because I know this. And I've experienced it my whole life, and I actually got a little bit of knowledge.
No, I 100%. I've seen you grow up through it, and I've watched you, you know, working, then evolve into the tours. And I remember a moment several years ago where you were doing a farm tour, and you were, you know, you had all the little leaves, and you're showing the planting and the replanting and how they do it. And I remember watching you in the back, watching him. And you could tell how proud you were because everything you were saying, he's like, you were just like nodding your head, like, yep, you know, that, and you did, and you knew, because you knew this stuff.
Well, it's very helpful to have a father that is so supportive, and that if you mess up, if you make a mistake, he's right there to help you fix it.
Is he tough on you?
Oh yeah.
He is.
He's tough with all his kids.
Yeah.
But in just the right amount. And when you're wrong, you're wrong. When you're right, he supports you and he pushes you up and he helps you. But when you're wrong, he lets you know, but he doesn't put you down. It's a teaching moment. And I think that you can really feel the support of the family. With everybody's always there to help you, not to put you down, but to lift you up. Very important.
So tell me, so back to you, you have the factory. When did you go into growing the tobacco? What was the transition for that?
After they create my factory, I know something because I go to the farm with my father, very young. But more for drive and car than the visit the farm. But when I create Tabadón in 1984, because remember my passion was when I created a factory for Tabacalera, Tabacalera Santiaguense. Then I decided to independent, to create a factory. I remember one brother of my father visited me in the Dominican Republic and talked with me and said, you are crazy. you have a very good position, and you change that for create a very, very small factory. And you know, the world of tobacco is not good today, 1984. It's my passion. Maybe I am crazy. Only the crazy people create something.
I like that. Only the crazy people create something.
Only the crazy people. And
I can vouch for his craziness.
we start only with 6 rollers.
Okay.
But my idea was, for the beginning, the concentrate and the production of cigars, and create in the future a company, integrated company, that control everything. Because for me, that's the only way that you can guarantee the consistent. And for that reason, I decided not dedicate only for private label. No spend money and time in marketing. Concentrate only in the factory, And for that reason, I try to control my tobacco. First, my cousin, that control 50% of the tobacco in the Dominican Republic, they helped me. But I decided to independent, to create my tobacco. More financial farmers, and later my own land. My own land for my tobacco, for create something special. And that's the history of Oyamasa. And that's the history of Oyamasa. But my passion was more the cigars. I think the cigar is a friend. It's a friend. But a friend, the most important for a friend is loyalty, consistent, and good, pleasure. And always I know that consistent is when you have the control of your tobacco. And that was the history. And we started Tabadón with Griffin cigars. Griffin cigar, because Bernard Grobet, the owner, was a friend of mine. And cigar from Tropical Tobacco, the Pedro Martin, in 1984. But very fast, I accept everything at that time. I like to grow. Avo. I made Avo and started to produce Avo in 1986.
So now Avo used to just come down here on a plane, buy cigars for himself, take them back and sell them on his piano. He wasn't in the cigar business. He just liked cigars and sold them on his piano.
He was a musician in the real estate business.
Yeah.
No, because I would play piano in Palma de Mar, a new project in Puerto Rico, and he decided to try to make money with sales.
Real estate, apartments.
Yeah, he was trying to real estate.
And for that reason, he played golf for people. And one day, he met with a friend of mine, and say, I like to make cigars. Oh, let me put in contact with Henke. And he, every week come to the plane, or every 2 weeks, and take his cigars, put in the piano, and sing. But later, Davidoff, the store of Davidoff in Manhattan, decide to sell the Avo cigar.
So tell me about this, because this was a big deal for Tabadón at the time. So they sold Avo and Griffin, right, in Manhattan?
Yes, Avo, Griffin, and Ashton.
And how big was that for you because my understanding was at one point it was like, what, they ordered like 1 million, 2 million cigars or something like that?
I growing every year. 1989,
Okay.
I produced 2.7 million cigars.
2.7 million cigars.
And
So you have more than 6 rollers now, right? I hope.
no. Something like 60 rollers.
Right, right.
Something like 60 rollers. And the three big brands was Griffin, Avo, Aston, and Troya too. Disappeared Troya, but Troya had success in the beginning. That's 4 I produced maybe was 50% of my production, or a little more, 60% of my production. Of course, I make for tropical tobacco, cigar, not too expensive, but that was the first most important. Especially Griffin, Avo, and Aston. We started with Aston in 1986, more or less, when Robert Levy came to the Dominican Republic, and we started to produce Aston cigar. That's it. And the most important, that cigar was the cigar the best seller of the store, and more expensive cigar.
More expensive.
More expensive, yeah.
And from the very beginning, when you set it up, you were always involved with everything. The growing, the blending, everything, total.
Of course, but I create a team, because you need a team. You need a team. When we were very small, when we start, for example, with Davidoff, I created the blend of Grand Cru, because when the cigar come to Cuba, the line of Chateau, we can use the name of the 5 Chateau. And we use a Grand Cru 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that was one of my favorite blend that I made. I talk later about why. Because first I need to talk when and how come Dr. Snyder to produce cigars.
Well, and I want to ask that, how did you convince, or was it hard to convince Davidoff to come here?
Snyder, the owner, Snyder, decided to change the production of Cuba for another country. And that time, the only country that have produce cigars with prestige cigar, an important company, was Dominican Republic. We are very small at that time. Remember, this was before the boom time, no? Before the boom time. And the contact with Snyder was Bernard Grobet, the owner of Griffin. The owner of Griffin. And he came in October 1988 to decide when. But Snyder, they don't have options in other country, but they don't have many options in Dominican Republic. Why? The majority of the 5 factories important in Dominican Republic, they produce cigars and have his distribution and made the distribution. And neither don't like that. Why? Because Davidoff was only a company for distribution and sale cigar, and not involved in the production. They don't have one leaf of tobacco, but they have a very good company for marketing. And Tabadon make only private label, is not involved in distribution, and concentrate in the cigar production. And that was a perfect marriage.
Perfect partnership. You don't want to do what they do, and they don't want to do what you do.
I think another reason that they decided that Tabalón make his cigar was the three cigars, best sellers three cigars in Madison, in Manhattan, was my cigar. Griffin, Avo, and Ashton. And I think a nice thing, something good that they need to make. Something.
And they were more expensive.
It was in 1988, the visit, in 1989, in July, I have a meeting with Snyder in New York, and they gave me the first order. I was surprised to find them, but only for 125,000 cigars for USA. But 3 months later, I received 3 million, an order for 3 million cigars. The the market, and the market was in New York, especially for USA. That was in November 1990.
November 1990.
1990.
1990, 5 days after I was born. 5 días después que yo nací.
Did you keep some of those cigars?
No. And Europe was later.
Europe was later, yeah.
In May 1991. In May. And New York was the first time that I have contact with Sino. All my contact was with Dr. Snyder. Only in that opportunity, I know Sino Davido.
And you invited him here? You invited Zeno here?
Yes, he came in January 1993.
Yeah.
The only one time. Because Zeno died in January 1994. But I have more opportunity to talk with Zeno. In Europe, was in 1981 in May, Geneva and Paris. And the reason that he late too much, because I started production of the Davidoff cigar in January 1990. That was the moment they started production. Wow. Imagine, 17 months later is the distribution in Europe. I think for two reasons. First, Snyder liked to have a lot of inventory. And that's why he policy only. Davidoff have a lot of inventory. And another reason, and nobody knows, no many people know that, when he left to Cuba, they make a contract, a deal. The company of Snyder, Oettinger, can sell cigar, Cuban cigar, no until July 1991. And then they decide to sell the maximum of the inventory of Cuban cigar. I think that's two reasons, but nobody knows that. They have a limit for sale the Cuban cigar.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I have to ask this because this seems like, I mean, I've known you and you have a lot of energy, and you're just constantly thinking. So are you, we always say, like, are you a morning person or a night person? Are you a get up early and that's when you write all your ideas down? Or are you a late night person when everybody's asleep, that's when you work? Or are you both?
No.
A lot of energy.
Maybe both, but before, when I was most young, I am a night person.
Night person, okay.
Today, I am a morning person, morning. But I normally stay until 10 or 11 o'clock at the night. Okay. No more, because I wake up
too early.
I wake up too early.
What about you? Are you a morning person or a night person?
I think I'm slowly transitioning into a morning person. But I have a lot of memories of my dad. Sunday morning, I'm still in school. Sunday is like my last day to relax before Monday. I gotta go back to school, and he would wake up the whole house. Well, he personally wakes up by 5, but he would be waking up the whole house at 6, and he's like, let's go, we got to go to the farm. I'm like, Dad,
It's Sunday.
it's Sunday, come on, like, let's relax one day. And I think in my dad's vocabulary, relax doesn't exist. He's always working.
But there's nobody there on Sunday, or are there?
In the
there?
farms, yes.
Yeah. Oh, there are.
In the farms, you never stop.
Right.
Because in the farms, the end of the week is very important, because that's when you pay. But if you have to irrigate on a Sunday, if you have to harvest on a Sunday, if there's a specific thing to be done, tobacco doesn't wait for you to wake up on Monday.
Right.
It has to be done on Sunday. I'm slowly transitioning, but it's the cigar world has two sides. The cigar world has you gotta wake up early, work in the farms, work in the factory, but then it has the social side, the sales side, the marketing side, that you have to be with clients up till very late at night. So you gotta balance both of those, and it all goes back to really being with the people in the farm, being with the people that are selling your cigars and promoting. So you cannot stop, especially when you're an entrepreneur.
Right.
I mean, you have skin in the game, so you don't sleep. You dream about your work.
What did you learn from him on? I mean, he's the most social person I think I know. What did you learn from him on the social aspect of it?
If I learned something, or I am still learning, as I watch him go about his day with different people, is that I think connections, contacts, being able to be special with everybody is very important. Yes, you can be good with everybody, but if you have some sort of special attention or special detail for everybody at different moments, and you're always thinking about what they like, what would they like, how can you treat them to something, make that moment more special. People really appreciate that and create a memory and create a bond. And you become better friends, you become better business partners. And being able to handle people is always the hardest part, not just socially, but also employees. So always be very special with everybody and always know what's going on in their life. Something that I really learned from him, and we still do it. And at the end of the year, it's New Year's, everybody's partying. And normally in Dominican Republic, you take good breaks, good Christmas breaks. But the first day back is very important. And my dad and I will go back to the factory, go back to the farm on the first day back, and we don't work that day. The first day back is to talk to every employee. We go one by one, and at one moment it was 1,500 employees.
Really?
And it sometimes takes 2 days,
Right.
but you go one by one and you talk to them. How was your Christmas break? How's your family doing? How are your kids? Do you need anything for your school materials for your kids? Is your mother better? Is she better now, And it's always having that attention to detail with your employees and with your people.
I like that. I like that. Henke, you had said at one point, well, let me preface this by saying your blending skills, everybody knows worldwide. Your ability to, your palate and the flavors you have and just knowing the tobacco from ground up. But you've also said there's not really any master blenders. Why do you say that?
The problem is someday one guy in New York said, Henke, you are a genius. I smoked PCR for 10 years. It's always the same. I say, no. The genius is the inventory. If I don't have the inventory for maintain the consistent, I never have a good blender. And this is very important because, in tobacco, there are 4 factors that create the quality of the tobacco in stimulation. No? First is the soil, another is the seed. When you combine the soil with the seed, give the typical type of stimulation, or that the same seed in another soil is different. And in the same soil, two different seeds, there are different qualities of tobacco. And you know the tobacco, they have the bottom leaf to the top leaf. They change step by step to the light to the stronger, and different type of stimulation. And then you have three factors: soil, seed, and position. But they have another factor, is the weather. One year, rain too much, this farm produce tobacco more light, less sun, more dilution of the nutrients. It's a dry season, it's more strong. For that reason, when I create a blend, I make a graphic of stimulation, or level of stimulation, and the four areas of the palate: sweet, salt, acid, and bitter. And that graphic is the blend, not the formula. If you maintain the formula, you change the blend. If you maintain the graphic, you need rebalance the blend. Every time a crop or some part of the tobacco is another year. And that is the secret of the consistency. It's not too difficult. It's not.
Well, I would argue a lot of people find it very difficult. You make it sound easy, but I would say that's a master blender. Would you say he's a master blender, or I mean, not to put you on the spot because you already know his philosophy.
You know
The word master is a big word.
Fair.
No. let me say that the cigar is like the music. And the music, you have a man, a guy, a special guy that create the music. And maybe that guy died 200 years, Beethoven. But in the symphony, there a guy with la batuta.
The baton?
And
Baton? Is that a baton?
And that create the blend of the music. And he received the applause of the not the man can create the music.
Wow, okay.
But that guy need to control every different type of instrument. The level of strength, the time they come. That is a very important guy because they control everything. And the cigars is the same. Some guy create the music, create the blend. But there are people, a team that control that. One guy that control everything and control every music. You need to control every step of the factory. Because your blend is a blend, it's a formula. But for produce that formula, everybody that is involved in the produce of the cigars, they need to have the control. But the most important for that is the ambient you create in your company. And that's the most important. You need that everybody have in his mind your idea, your program.
Your philosophy, your culture.
But for you go to the mind of your employee, you first go to the heart. It's the only way that guy is in compromise with what you plan. First, you need to go to that. For that reason, I remember one day when I sell the company, I received from Switzerland a paper for put in the factory. Say, the vision, the mission, the value. I say, my people, they don't understand that. I work the company on only one word, of loyalty. But loyalty is a way,
A two-way street.
A two-way.
You have to be loyal to them if you want them to be loyal to you.
I am loyal to my farmers, with my suppliers, and they're loyal to me. And they give me the tobacco that I like, the tobacco that I need. I am loyal to my employer, and they are loyal to me. That's it. And you are loyal to the consumer, and the consumer is loyal to you. Only one word. You can manage a company. You don't need a big philosophy of the company, because we are human. And if you don't arrive to the mind of the people, you never are sure that everybody make who job, who work. That is important. And the symphony is the same. It's a team.
Well, I'm not going to say you're a master blender anymore. I'm going to say you're a master conductor.
Yes, that's great. But you know, the word master, my dad always says this, is that for you to be a master, you have to understand every part of the process.
Right.
So there's a lot of blenders, you know, and what they do, and they have focus, is specializing in blending and managing the tobacco. But has that person worked in the farm? Has that person worked in seed creation? Has that person worked in the fermentation houses? Has that person been out in the market? Do they understand the market? Because a master blender doesn't blend for themselves.
Right.
A master blender blends for other people. So you have to have the full picture,
right,
to even be considered or be close to what a master would be.
Yeah.
And if I may be so bold, he's one of the closest, if he's not already the master.
I would agree, and I think a lot of people would agree. So you talk about the loyalty in the team, and I know I feel this way, and I know a lot of people feel this way. I think one of the best teams in tobacco that there has ever been has been you with Eladio Diaz and Manuel Peralta. How was it, that environment of working with both those people?
Well, I work like a team. Eladio is a blender. He followed the concept of the blender. Peralta is in the field. He knows the condition of the tobacco. Every year, what happened with that farm, what is the farm. For make the balance or rebalance of the blend. But there are people in the factory, nobody know that. But that is the people that control that blend is correct. And there are people that control the roller make the perfect distribution of the leaf. You maybe have all, but you don't have the people that control everything. Finally, you don't have the stimulation curve of the cigars. That it's a team. You need everybody, and you need to go to the heart of the people, because that's if they know that I need to make the job like my boss like. Is the only way. The only way. For that reason, I never close the door of my office. Never. It's a way for say to the people, everybody can come to my office. The most important or the less important guy in the factory. And that creates the atmosphere. for the quality. I never close the door. Never close the door of my office. And you know, in addition, my desk isn't a normal desk. It's like a,
He had that desk made. His desk had two sides, and then it had a round table at the end, so that he could always sit at the round table with everybody.
I don't like that people feel that there are separation with me.
Well, I've never seen you, when I've been in your office, I've never seen you, and I've been privileged enough to sit in there with Eladio or Avo, I've never seen you sit behind the desk. You always come over to the round table. Let me talk about now, moving on to him a little bit, as far as, you know, let's talk about Kelner Tobacco.
Okay.
And let's talk about how is your direction maintaining where you've come, but also you have to have your own ideas of what you want to do and things like that. And how do you create new ones, and how do you obviously you still go to him and kind of talk about it? How does that work?
So right now, at the moment of this interview, we are at a shift. And my father earlier in the interview mentioned that when he started his factory, he always, his first idea and always the plan was to make only private labels for other people. Kelner Tobacco is a company I just recently founded over a year ago. And with my experience in the market, in the sales and the marketing, Kelner Tobacco initially started as a consulting company. But we will see that evolve. And what I want to do with the next steps of our family is to unite our family. My brother has a factory. He's Smoking Jacket. This is his brand. Is what we're smoking right now. It's the cigar that, as a family, we came together to make for my father in his honor, the Henke. With tobaccos from my sister, made in my brother's factory. All the family members were part of the blending process. So something special. You really can't get it anywhere right now, this cigar. But what I want to do is I want to maintain the philosophy of being able to create cigars for other people. We still want to be involved in private labels and be able to control everything. But you will see in the future how the family is going to have its own project. And I think that's the next step. The Kelner family has always been involved in blending, has always been in the process, has always been involved in the farm. But in the future, you will see something come out of the Kelner family with a new band. And I think that's the direction we want to take. Always maintaining our current private labels and always being loyal to everybody that has helped us along the way. But I want to also leave a legacy in the form of a cigar, and not just cigars for other people. And I think it's something that the family as one unit agrees on, and we're definitely going to be moving in that direction. But I don't want to give too many spoilers just yet.
That's fair. We'll talk off camera about it. How do you feel? I mean, I hate to say passing the torch because that never sounds good, but how do you feel about where he is and what he's doing?
Klaas loves tobacco, loves the cigars, and this is very important. And because you need to work where you are happy. The only way to have success is when you are happy, you have success. And I have a lot of success in the marketing. The people know Klaas. They know Klaas.
Apparently.
The only, always I say, don't believe all the people say about you. That you have a risk of that. Listen, the human create the ego destroy. Maintain the human, always maintain the human. The people with ego maybe growing fast, for finally, they don't have success. And that is, that is my only advice of class. May work when you are happy, where you are happy. But maintain the humility.
Be humble.
Never take the ego. I never have ego. People talk about Henke Kelner, Henke Kelner. It's not a damage. The ego damage. If you believe that all the people say about you, you create you are a big man, a big man. But then the humility.
You've done so much, and you've seen so much, and you've touched so many people, both whether they've never met you and they get to smoke your cigar, but they get to sit in their lounge or their house and they smoke the cigar and they get all that feelings. And you've done so many different facets of it. What else do you want to do? What's left on your bucket list? Is there a place to see, or is there something to create? What's left that you want to do?
You know, the last 2 years and a half, I work only in Pro Cigar.
Mm-hmm.
I created Pro Cigar 30 years ago. I was the president of Pro Cigar for 30 years. And I am happy with that, because I am happy when I produce cigars. I maintain my loyalty for all the cigars that I make. I have a loyalty to Davidoff, because it's like my sons, like my son. But now, I work for my country. I don't work for a company to make profit. I work for my country to protect and promote our industry. Mm-hmm. Because our industry, tobacco, is the most important in the industry and in the history of Dominican Republic. We were the first export tobacco in 1531, 1531. Mm-hmm. And tobacco is part of the society, it's a part of it's our culture, mm-hmm. A cultural. Tobacco is the legacy that the people receive for his father, his grandfather. And I think the tobacco farm, this very small farm, the first was bigger in 100 years ago, create the personality of the Dominican Republic people. Because when you're planting tobacco in a small area for support your family, you take care, put attention every day, and you believe in God for good weather. And that was transmitted to the personality of our country. That's it. When you look at the Dominican, very happy people, attentive people, that personality comes from the tobacco, And we need to maintain the tradition of the tobacco in our country. And for that reason, I 100% work for Pro Cigar, because Pro Cigars is the emblematic association of Dominican Republic. And I feel happy with that. Finally, I work for my country, only for my country. Of course, I work for all the factories, for all the people of Davidoff, because they are part of our society. The root of our society was created for the tobacco. And we need to maintain that, for maintain the personality of the Dominican Republic. we maintain the tradition. This is it's a product more consistent in the history. All the history, the tobacco was involved in any moment in the revolution and everything. The tobacco people was very important in our country. And that, I feel happy. I feel happy with that. I like to Pro-Cigar maintain his philosophy, to protect the tobacco, promote the tobacco. And that is my work now. That is my job. This is my job, and I am very happy. It's my legacy. My real legacy is that. That is my legacy.
When we're coming up in a couple weeks now, Pro Cigar, how is it when you see people from all over the world come to an unprecedented event where all the Pro Cigar members and manufacturers are there, and you have people from all over the world that are going on tours and visiting, you know, at dinners and seeing the fields? How does that make you feel when they come from all over the world to here?
They come to the Dominican Republic for cigars, but they come for a country that have opened los brazos. They are.
That received them with wide open arms.
What is the purpose of that? The people know why we are the best. The people know who the people he is involved in that, behind the cigar. But the most important is that we converse that people, that 300 people from different countries, in ambassador of the Dominican Republic. That people talk about his experience in Dominican Republic. In any Pro-Cigar festival, I need to talk. In one day, I don't know what can say different. And the side is say, when God gave to Abraham the 10 Commandments, he gave right and the rock. But I think that they forget one.
One commandment.
One commandment. Maybe because they don't have space in the rock, or maybe because everybody understands that. So, the 11th commandment is, you are happy and make happy all other people. And this night I say, we are happy because I know you are happy. We respect the 11th commandment. And that is the objective of the Pro-Cigar Festival. We need ambassador worldwide. Ambassador worldwide.
I feel like I had talked to you before we came out here, and your family's always been involved in cigar shops. I mean, you're involved in everything, but you were talking about a particular cigar shop that you just recently had in a port. And you're the only cigar shop there, and it's cruise ships that come in, and they get a brief introduction to Dominican Republic. And one thing that caught me that I found very interesting, and I can see where it comes from, was that you really felt it wasn't just a cigar shop where you knew you could sell cigars to people coming off a ship. You really took it and owned it as you were the ambassador for tobacco at that one spot. And it may not be big, and it's not 300 people at a Pro Cigar Festival or more, but that was important to you, how you represented the country.
Yeah, we just recently opened up these new cigar shops in the new port, where cruise ships are arriving. And you're seeing over 20,000 people right now arriving at this port every month. And every one of those people that steps into this new cigar shop, the brands that are represented in there are Pro Cigar brands for the most part. And every single cigar in there I've enjoyed. We enjoy everybody's cigars. We support everybody. But for me, the most important thing is that I have trained every single employee there, every single salesperson, to not just sell them a cigar. It's not just a cash register, but it's a teaching moment. I even have tobacco plants that are now flowering inside the shop. And probably 99% of the people that have walked into my store have never seen a tobacco plant. And it's their first time to actually touch, feel a plant, see the flower, and it's a teaching moment. And it's not just a tobacco product. It's something that represents our whole country and many, many people behind it. And that's really my biggest objective of that store. I want it to be a true representation of what Dominican Republic is, one of its most important products. And I can tell you that people come in and out, and they come in with a vision of what they think they're going to do. They're coming in to just buy a cigar for a gift or for themselves, and they leave with extra information. They leave with something that they can take back and explain what they experienced in that little shop. And for me, being able to be at that point is very important, because they have the ability to go out into the town and buy other things. Sure. They have ability to go out into tours. They have the ability to go out and buy cigars at another shop. But I'm pretty confident that our shop is not just a purchasing experience. Our shop is about giving history lesson, is about teaching them, and they will value that gift a lot more when they leave that store. It's really about giving true representation, and it's really about giving back. If that store doesn't make money, as long as it's breaking even, I'm happy, because that's not the point.
Right.
The point is not to sell cigar. The point is to make people happy and make people knowledgeable about what we do.
Well, and I think that's why I can see that your father's legacy is in good hands with that.
And that's only just a shop.
And that's just the shop.
That's just the shop.
But as your father was, every single detail matters in it, and it may be just a shop or just a field or just whatever, but across the board, I think that's an important culture that you've given to him and then you're bringing forward. So a couple more questions just because I'm curious. Nothing to do with tobacco. Do you have any hobbies that aren't tobacco related?
My hobby is the tobacco, but today not too much, but I read a lot.
Read a lot? Do you have a favorite book?
One book is like 48 Law.
48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene.
Okay.
Robert Greene. I think I buy a lot of this and give, but always say, all right, this law is not for application of the people. It's for you know a law application you. A law application you. If you apply that, you not die in your bed.
It's a fun book that has 48 chapters.
Okay.
But it's filled with stories and history examples. And we've all read it in my family. It's one of my favorite books too. But it really is it's a book that teaches you about life, and it teaches you about the mistakes that other people in certain positions have made, or successes that they've had applying similar laws. So it's a good book to set you out into the world and be prepared for what's out there. And hopefully none of those laws get applied against you.
If you could go back 50 years, what would you tell yourself?
I know, yes, for that I made during 50 years, but I regret for something. The only thing I make different is I make my brand. Why? Because I lose my company because I don't have brand. The owner of the factory, the owner of the company is the owner of the brand. And after the boom, 91% of my production was for Davidoff because they buy Griffin, they buy Avo, they eliminate something customer, and finally, when you produce 91% for
One
a
person.
company, or one person, the real owner is the person. I advise to my son, and my son have a boutique factory, and they have many customers, but a small customer. No one have more than 20% of the production, because it's not important. I am happy, but if I have my brand, maybe I don't sell the company.
If someone was smoking one of your cigars and they've never met you, what do you want them to experience out of a cigar?
I like that they think and they recognize that this cigars is a friend. A consistent friend, loyal friend. The most important is the friend. I don't make cigars, I make friends for send worldwide, for make happy the people. And I have a friend, he died. He is a Monsignor. He say one day, how I can write during the night, 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, if I don't have my friend behind me. It's impossible. It's impossible. And that is the philosophy. Cigar is a friend. And you know, maybe you go to China or another country and you don't have any friend. But you go to the store and find his friend, and buy that, and now he's happy. He say, I have a friend in China. And that is the concept of the cigar. Cigar is a friend.
Well, I've always enjoyed talking to both of you, and thank you for allowing me to sit here, visit you in the field, and also share this with some other people too. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure, Fred. You're always welcomed.
I may be back real soon.
No, every time you have a cigar, every time you have one of our cigars, there's a little bit of us in there. So you're in good company.